In this video, we're going to go over the basics of how to use your file system, how to navigate in the terminal, and how to build a workspace so that you can have all of the folders that you want inside of your VS Code. So, where we're going to start off at is in the Finder for your computer. So when you open it, usually it's going to show a few different things. There's a lot of favorites over here, places that are set up to make it easy to get to like all your applications and things like that. What we want to do though is we want to look at what is actually on the hard drive of your computer. So if you'll go down to Michael's MacBook Pro or whatever yours is named, you're going to see that we have this network icon and we have this Macintosh HD icon that stands for hard drive. When you go inside of this, normally you're going to see this view with just 4 folders there: applications, library, systems, and users. Most of the files you want are in the users folder there. But if you do Command Shift period, you can see just how many folders are really in here. Now, for the average coding experience, you want to have all of your code locally on your hard drive. Things like iCloud and OneDrive, when they're running in the background, will often offload your files off of your hard drive. And it makes it a situation to where not all of the files are going to be available when you go to run the particular application that you're developing. So if we save it on the local hard drive and out of that cloud service's reach, then most of the time we're able to access those files exactly how we want to without them having to download. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide all these normally hidden folders here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the way that this structure operates. So folders hold either other folders or they hold files. You can have folders inside of folders, but just like a filing system, you typically will organize things in batches in folders so that you can find them easily. Now, what I've done to do that on mine is creating this local code folder. Now, I set it with a custom graphic here, but you can leave it plain and it'll look just like the blue if you're on Mac or that yellow if you're on Windows PC. But what I've done here is I have actually put every bit of code that I have ever written in this particular folder, as well as my workspaces. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So inside each of these folders are, in some cases, other folders that have other snippets of code in them. So if I go to like this labs folder, then it's going to have each week's labs. That's a good way to keep them organized and to where you can get to them quickly. You know exactly where to navigate to them at on your computer, and it keeps you from losing the things you've worked on. Now, I also have added this local code folder to my favorites over here so that when I go into my Finder, I can find it immediately. On Windows, you have something similar to where you can just drag your folder up there and save it as a quick action to where you can go to it. And there's even a way that we can kind of do this in VS Code. So let's say I open my VS Code, which I'm going to quit completely out of it, and then we'll open it back up here. Usually it's going to pop up this welcome screen over here. Now, I already have a workspace that I have added my local code folder to over here. So that's what's showing up on this side. If I wanted to, I can right click up here. Let's see, I've got to find a dead space and I can right click somewhere up in this area and it will let me add a folder to, sometimes you got to kind of click around. We'll see if I can get it going up here. It's always a little bit different spot for me. So like maybe I'll get down here below this. I can right click and go add a folder to workspace. And what that lets me do is I throw it in this workspace and it's going to save everything that I have open in here. So I have a couple websites down here that I actually have the FTP server for linked into this workspace so that I can see what's on that server while I'm in my code and programming on other things as well. So you can organize this any way you want. It's going to save not only all of the files that are here and let you open them, but it's also going to let you save the theme that you're using, all of the settings, any of the extensions that you have enabled for that workspace. They all get lumped inside that one file. Now, another thing you can do with it is take the file and you can put that workspace file somewhere convenient, like I have it down here in my dock. And then when you click on it, it will open exactly to that workspace. So you can access all of the things you want to really easily. Now, you look at this and it makes it a little more confusing as to, well, how do I get a terminal open exactly to where I want it open? Well, if I wanted to open this Jest test in the terminal, I can right click on it and go to open an integrated terminal, and it's going to open, and you can see here the file takes me right to that Jest test folder just by right clicking and telling it to open an integrated terminal. Now, it is important to note how to get around in the terminal with your files. So if I'm in this Just Test folder, which is inside of my local code, I can do CD period to get back up to the local code folder. And you see the file or the folder name has changed there. Now, if I want to see all of the files that are inside of this local code, on Mac, you can use the command ls and it will show everything. Now, let's say I want to get into the snippets folder. I can see it over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the command cd again, but instead of doing two periods, now I'm going to start to spell out snippets here. And when I get to a point to where it is unique and there's nothing else around it, I can actually hit tab and it will auto complete the rest of it. Then I can hit enter and now I'm in the snippets folder. So it's that easy to get up and down. Now, if I kept going up, cd period, cd period, now I am up a level and I'm all the way to the users now. And then I'm all the way back to that root directory or the start of where all of the file tree begins. Now you can even hit ls here, but if you'll notice, it shows every single one of those hidden files and folders right there. So they are accessible. Now, there are ways to make those show up over here as well. And one of the better ways that we know of doing that is to go to your settings and type in the word exclude. So when you type in exclude, it'll pull up this part. And what I have done to make it to where when you go into it, you can tell if it is set up as a Git repository here by this .git, which normally is a hidden folder. If we go to it in Finder, it's going to be hidden. You can go through this list and you can click the little X next to the one that goes to the .git folder. That way, it won't exclude those from your view over here. Now, I've done that. It makes it to where if I wanted to delete this and get rid of the history and reset it up as a repository, super easy to do it. So hopefully that kind of gives you some pointers on how to get around the file system, kind of how it's set up. I highly recommend working with a workspace. It gives you the opportunity to have other code available. So let's say I'm working in this workspace down here and I'm writing in JavaScript over here, and I want to see the Fisher-Yates shuffle method that I have saved in my snippets here. I can pull it open and drag it over. And just like all things in VS Code, it gives us the opportunity to see and put anything anywhere we want it. So if I want to see this over on the right side, I can do that. And then I can hit Command B and hide the sidebar or click up here. And I have both files open at the same time. Now, if I want to close it down that bottom bar, I can click over here as well. And now I have just the code up. So I can take my Fisher-Yates method and very easily copy it over here and then continue to code. Now, it is possible to get confused if you have the same files open. So if I go into another file here and I open another file named index.html, or we open, let's say, another index.js, which is a better example here, then you can see each one of these will tell you it comes from local code and then which folder it's in, so that you can keep it straight which one is tic-tac-toe versus which one is workspace here. So hopefully that makes it easy to copy code from another place, to see what you've got. You don't have to leave all these notes inside your code when you want to change things up. You can even make yourself a little snippets folder like I had made here. That way you can pull up other things, like I've got examples of using a reduce or using location in React Router, things like that. Just quick stuff that you want to refer to. So overall, that's just kind of a basic view of what the file system offers. There are some areas that it's very helpful to go into in your learning. You'll want to learn about file paths, about what a relative path is versus an absolute path. Those are all things we're not going to cover in this video, but it's very important to know because that's how you're going to refer to where images and other things are inside of your code to tell your code where to go when it's running to pull those things in. And it all connects to how this file system is organized and how you're handling things in your file system. So hopefully that helps you kind of get a grasp on things, and happy coding.